Okay, so in this course, I'm going to go quite often to the 3D menu here, and it's because all the 3D nodes are here. And I will start right away by creating a cube inside the geometry. Cube, there we go. And we just created our first 3D nodes. So I can recognize that it's a 3D node because it got those soft corners around. For example, if I create a transform node, which is a 2D node, you can see that it's a square box. So this is how you will differentiate 3D nodes and 2D nodes. Okay, I will delete the transform node for now. And for now, nothing changed. But if I connect my viewer to the cube here, you can see that my viewer is jumping to a 3D viewer. Okay, if you don't see the 3D viewer on your end, you can come here to that drop-down menu and switch from 2D to 3D. This menu allows us as well to change to different view, for example, from the side view, from the top view, etc. So for now, I will just come back to the perspective view, which is the 3D view. And now I would like to show you how you can navigate into that 3D space. So you will have to hold down the Alt key of your keyboard, and with your left mouse button you can pan around. With the right mouse button you can rotate around, and with the wheel of your mouse you can zoom and unzoom. Okay? If you don't like those commands, you can come to your Nuke properties. So if you're on the PC, it will be into edits and approximately around here. On Mac, it's under the Nuke here preferences, and we'll come to the viewer handle menu here. And here you have the 3D control type, and you can choose from other control type from another software you will be maybe more confident with. For example, my favorite one is Maya. So we'll simply click on Maya, hit OK, and now I can navigate in my 3D viewer the same way I will do it in Maya, which is more convenient for me, but it's a personal preferences. Now, as you can see, my cube is visible. And if I disconnect my viewer, my cube is still visible in my viewer. And why? Well, to have an element visible in the 3D space, you need to have the properties open here. If I close the properties, the cube disappears. If I double click on the cube and to open the properties, the cube comes back. Of course, if your viewer is hooked up to a 3D element and I close the properties, that 3D element will be still visible here as well. If I were to add another geometry, for example, I could create a cylinder. And as you can see, the cylinder, the cube are here. I can see my cube because it hooked to the viewer, and I can see my cylinder because the cylinder is open in the properties. If I was connecting that guy here, I wouldn't see the cube because the cube is not open in the properties and not connected to the viewer neither. All right, I know it's a bit confusing, but trust me, you'll get used to it. Now, if I want to modify a geometry, well, I can easily do it using that little gizmo here. So I need to select the geometry I want to modify first. So here, for example, I click anywhere, nothing is selected, even if it's displayed here and open on my properties bin. I need to come and click on the geometry to be able to display that little gizmo here. And I will be able, for example, to move that guy on X, on Y, and on Z. You could modify those things as well directly into the properties bin here. If you want to scale or rotate your object, you can do it as well in the viewer. You will have to maintain the control key or command on the Mac to display the rotation gizmo. And if you want to display the scale gizmo, you will have to hold down Control and Shift or Command and Shift on Mac. And now you will be able to have your different scale gizmo as well. You can scale everything at once here. As you can see, As I do that, it modifies as well my scale properties here. I do have as well a uniform scale that we use quite often as well, and that we'll see a little bit later. Now, if I want to do the same thing to my cube, I can. Okay, I can move it, hold down Control, and I can rotate it. Oh, pardon. Up. There we go. And Control and Shift to scale. The cube is a bit different because it got that special things where you can select only the corners and modify it like that. But this is the only 3D nodes that allow you to do that in Nuke. Okay, great. Let's now move on to the next video where we are going to see how to see those 3D objects in the 2D viewer. See you there.